Hello, everyone, and welcome to another season of Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast in which we analyze, we scrutinize, and yes, we celebrate Solo, a Star Wars story, 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
And I am Tony Thaxton from BizarreAlbums.com, but it's a podcast. Does anybody really go to websites for podcasts?
Too late in the game to be asking that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is, if they first hear about it, they're like, what was that? And if they Google it and you have a website that takes you there, that's the main idea of having a website.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if they're not, I don't know. But we got one. You got one. We all got one.
True. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually updated it, but hey. But actually, the new episodes will autoplay on that front page.
Long time.
So
There you go.
Yeah. That's what we're here to talk about, right?
Yeah. Our websites.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow with another episode. So until then,
Website.
Star Wars Minute. No, we're here to talk about Solo, a Star Wars story. Minute
Now
one
available on Blu-ray and digital.
and streaming, which I guess it wasn't
That's
at the
true,
first. Or does that fall under digital?
It's kind of digital, but I don't know.
Again, we're getting sidetracked. We got a lot of stuff to get to.
Yeah, I do want to point out we're jumping right into the action of the movie, so we're jumping right into the action with the guests. Normally, the first week is us talking about the crawl by ourselves, but hey, it's a Star Wars story, so we're jumping right into it. And
all rules
Tony's
are
here.
on. All bets are off.
I was thinking that, you've never had a guest in the first week, have you?
In Rogue One, we had week one of Rogue One.
Okay, gotcha.
For those keeping score at home.
So as long as there's no crawl involved.
Right.
Then,
and we'll talk about that because there almost is, but not really.
Yeah. Crawl adjacent.
Yeah.
Yes. Minute one starts off with a black screen, which eventually reveals the shiny Lucasfilm logo.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends a minute later with a speeder dashboard humming to life, I assume.
That's
what we're seeing. It's hard to tell. It's very choppy editing at that point. So,
well, that's jumping to my last note, but it's an interesting, I like, well, I'll tie together my first note and my last note.
Ring theory. Is
that we get, Lucasfilm logo and a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then something different. We get crawl adjacent expository text just kind of popping in at us. So it's like same, different, you know what I mean? And it's like introducing new things to the language of Star Wars, which we've talked a lot about that with the sequels and particularly with the Star Wars stories. They're kind of, trying out new things. It's the place to do different. And so the opening is like that. And then the last shot, that kind of, just illuminating things via sparks is not really, it's a little bit like the Stormtrooper shot in Force Awakens, but other than that, we haven't really seen much like that. It's not like it's not a Star Wars thing that we've seen before, but it is now because it's in this. And so we're introducing a new kind of...
What is the shot in the Force Awakens you're referring to?
When the Stormtroopers are first going down to Jakku in the beginning,
so you just see
the
them.
lights are kind of blinking, flickering, and you just see snippets of them. This is kind of this
pre-battle.
Same thing in a sense that would, but to open the movie with that, to go from black into like kind of
I think this is definitely the first
interesting.
Star Wars that doesn't open with some kind of planetary, because even Rogue One opens with a space shot. So that's probably the biggest. We open. This is the first time we ever start not in outer space.
Oh yeah, that's a good call. I remember this being very exciting thing with Rogue One and this movie of like, how are they going to start? Because they had said ahead of time there were not going to be crawls.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys surprised that for some reason when they said there was no crawls, I expected there also to not be the a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I was surprised when those were still up for some reason.
Well, I guess because Rogue One had the same.
Yeah.
I assumed everything
really,
from Rogue One was going to, like, they weren't going to subtract from that. They weren't going to then get rid of, like...
Right. Well,
so it seems like...
Except for a planet kind of a thing. That's the thing, Which, do you think they would have... Like, what if they had gone from that into, like, the speedometer that we see?
Mm-hmm.
Does it pop up at the very end of this, or is it the next thing that we get the little brief glimpse of the speedometer, essentially? Yeah. Like, what if that was the quote unquote plan? We see a close up of that. We don't know what it is, but it's the the dial, the readout from a dashboard of a car. And
I would prefer some deconstruction of at least a reference to that. Like you said, if it's you see like a glowing disc and you think it's a planet, but then it turns out to be the speedometer, I'm in. Or like the shot of the iron going down and landing on the
right.
Didn't they I would have been in. But like just not even just totally running past it. It's not as fun as them coming up with a clever way of it's like the Simpsons couch gag. Like it's fun to work within that limitation of that thing to make it work. What were you gonna say, Tony?
Oh, wasn't there an attempt to do that in The Last Jedi? Isn't there a deleted scene that starts with it panning down and it's the helmet, the dome of that helmet that Finn was wearing in the suit?
Which I think would have been a better opening, but not that I don't like the opening of The Last Jedi. It's fine, but I think that the dome, twist. I think play with it a little bit. I think that works better. And I think again, I agree. They should have done that here. Either like a speedometer or maybe like there's like a ball kind of hood ornament or something, like play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
But then it's really restrictive.
But that's kind of the art of it, It's like a haiku. You have to.
But then after, like, I don't know, like how long does that keep going? If they keep making new movies, if they make that Rogue Squadron movie, if they make other things, like, do they have to keep doing that? Like, everybody's got to at least pay some kind of deference to that.
No, but it's only the second movie in. It's not like we've exhausted all the different trick opening. You don't have to always be a trick opening either.
It's the 10th movie. That's what I'm saying. It's what I mean. It's like everyone has to have that little.
That's just my preference.
All right.
It's like James Bond, certain formulaic things that you're like, okay, ding, that kicks, like, to me, spacey opening is one of those things. But again, I'm not like, oh, this movie sucks, Disney's ruined everything. It's just, it's a small little tiny detail.
Right.
Solo to me feels almost like it does feel almost like a harbinger of the movies, of the TV shows that were to come. Like this movie feels like it almost could have been like a pilot for a Han Solo show, which for all we know, it still might be.
Yeah, I was actually having a similar thought watching it. Like it does feel like a precursor to the shows, and I don't know exactly what. Is there a specific reason you think that? Because I couldn't put my finger on it. Why I think that?
Yeah, I can't quite figure it out either. But maybe that's something we can think about as we watch the movie. Something that the changing of that opening is one of those things. Like TV shows, obviously, they don't feel any commitment to do any of the
they don't
crawls
use a long time ago.
So
right,
just kind of goes right into it. So
well, they do use the. We talked about this a little bit, whether or not we're going to get the like dee 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 dee, like the chrome masks, chrome helmets, chrome faces, Star Wars intro on any future movies, or if that's just we
TV. should let the listeners know that if at this recording, there's no movies currently scheduled, right?
I thought Rogue Squadron was still tentatively scheduled for.
I believe so. Right. It just got delayed or something.
Right. So people listening to us in the future, obviously everyone's listening in the future. Yeah. So, keep that in mind.
Right now, the plan is for it to be released on December 22nd, 2023.
Next year.
Yeah. So
that's still sooner than I thought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Rogue Squadron.
Now, are they?
No, wait. Now I see a different. That was originally
now being pushed back.
Now I see, as we're speaking. No, it was originally 2023 release, but then has reportedly been delayed indefinitely. So we'll see. Wow. Although I did just go in between episodes. Remind me to check my direct messages. I might have some inside info.
But they've abandoned this whole Star Wars story thing, right? Like even that they're not referring to as a Star Wars story, or are they? Or is that kind of TBD at this point?
Yeah, that's also maybe what makes it feel like the TV shows is because they got rid of this format, I'm guessing, And now any stories I'm sure they would have told there are now just going to be TV shows.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like at this point, I feel like they would have done Han Solo as a 10 episode or 6 episode series. And same thing with same thing with Rogue One. They easily could have milked that for a whole, season worth of adventures. So
for sure.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for where do we think that episode 1 of Solo would stop, of the TV show? Where would be the cutoff for the TV show first episode?
Right.
Well, I don't think it'll be during this week. Sorry, Tony.
Yeah, it'll be a short episode.
Yeah.
Well, you say that, but then again, look at Star Wars. The very first opening credits, they squeezed Rogue One out of before the movie even started. So you could have had a whole story about him doing this deal with the worms and everything. One thing I do know for sure is that it is a lawless time.
Yes,
because that's what the crawl. I guess not crawl. Just title cards tell us.
It's not a crawl. It's like plodding steps. It's a stagger. The opening stagger.
And then Lucy Lawless staggers into frame.
Yeah, exactly. My time.
She'd be good at a Star War, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, somebody was saying that there was some people were throwing it around that in the Mandalorian milieu that they should. I think somebody kind of as a joke, they were just like, suddenly Lucy Lawless shows up and it's like, "Hi, I'm Lorna Doone, Cara Dune's sister. She died. I'm here now." Like that kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
You don't think they do like that unraveling bandages and be like, "Oh, that Bacta really cured my my skin."
Yes.
Well, so I'm surprised that it's a lawless time because we're now, I guess. So this is 13 BBY. The action
BBY.
Starts off. So this is 13 years prior to
Baby Yoda.
Harrison Ford taking over as Han Solo in A New Hope.
Right.
So we're deep into Empire time. That's why I'm surprised that it's a lawless time, because you think it would be a hyper-lawed time because of the Empire being in control.
That's a good point.
Well, the more that they tighten their grip, the more star systems will slip through their fingers. So that could be that they're trying to, like in the core world, everything's super tight. Is Corellia not a core world? I can't remember.
Got me.
But it is in the core world. So never mind what I just started to say. I don't know about Star Wars. Corellia is a planet located in the galaxy's core worlds. So,
yes, we learned from the stagger that it is a shipbuilding planet. On the shipbuilding planet of Corellia, the foul Lady Proxima forces runaways into a life of crime in exchange for shelter and protection.
Yeah, no, wait, back up, because the crime syndicates are scrambling for resources. They're selling food, medicine, and hyperfuel.
Mm-hmm.
So
which gets all caps.
Yeah, hyperfuel. That's like a trademark,
Yeah.
Marvel's hyperfuel. It's an odd thing. Like why not hyperfood? You know what I mean? Like food, medicine, and fuel. They could say that, and we would understand also.
Just say fuel. You're saying just say fuel, don't say hyperfuel.
Hyperfuel is an odd, unless like they're specific, like normal fuel just to like drive around is plentiful, but like hyperfuel to fuel hyperspace engines is hard to get. I don't know. It seems like an odd. Again, it's like
it should have been maybe like turbo food, hyperfuel, and cyber
space medicine. Yeah,
space medicine. Cyber's too tough.
Why does it get all caps though? Because all caps has always just been like planets and names, right?
Well, maybe it's a trademark. It is. It's like hyperfuel. Is owned by the Rand Ecliptic Corporation or whatever they're called.
Right. It has to be in all caps every time it appears. It's case sensitive. Their trademark.
Right. Yeah. If you read the I'm trying to think of a dumb planet, like the Naboo Guide to Style or whatever.
Oh damn! Throwing shade at Naboo, huh?
No, but just like a random planet that has people that would be. Hey, I love Naboo. That's my bumper sticker says that.
One thing I'm surprised at is Lady Proxima gets a mention in the crawl, gets a shout out in the crawl, but she really has nothing to do with most of the rest of the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does, you know,
this would be like if in Star Wars they're like Luke Skywalker and you know, his friend Biggs are on Tatooine. Well, even Biggs has more to do with the story because Lady Proxima doesn't reappear once. It's Vision the rest of the movie, right?
Yeah,
is the bad guy.
But it's a little bit like, you know, the vile gangster Jabba the Hutt, although he got mentioned more beforehand. But, you know, Jabba, like outside of that opening sequence of Jabba's palace, doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the movie because he blows up.
Right.
But he's still in it way more than she is, though.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're just kind of setting up where we're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Corellia for a bit, since
Corellia.
Corellia. 1-800-Corellia. This is the first on-screen. Well, I guess we'll get shortly. By the end of this, technically, we have the first on-screen appearance of Corellia in canon in anything. I guess first live action on-screen appearance. Do you know the first time that Corellia was mentioned?
The actual name Corellia or Corellian?
Yeah. I don't have that information. It's just according to Wikipedia, the Corellia was first mentioned. Where? Anybody want to guess?
Clone Wars.
I thought it was said at some point in Star Wars. In
Star Wars, he definitely says I'm talking about these big Corellian ships, but I don't remember them ever saying Corellia before.
Yeah.
Apparently, in the novelization of Star Wars, the motion picture, they mentioned. I think they might say that Han Solo's from Corellia, or maybe they say that. But Corellia first mentioned in. Oh, I guess did that come out before the movie too? So maybe that's technicality. Yeah.
Yeah.
The originally Corellia was referred to as Krell by George Lucas. This is apparently there's like a little marketing pamphlet that George Lucas was sending around to licensees, and talked about Corellians were from the world of Krell, Crell, which was a grim, gaseous world where all the cities are on satellites floating in the gas clouds. That sound familiar to anybody?
Mm-hmm.
And the natives are winged flyers with clawed hands. You remember clawed hands? It's a native of Corellia.
Invisible Man.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is, you know, direct from George Lucas circa 1978 or so, or 76 perhaps, when they're, you know, sending out background info on like this is what he told Kenner, I mean, stuff like that. And a lot of that was reused. Some of it was reused before that. It was already recycled from his original description of Alderaan, which was, I think, the name for what we now know as Coruscant. So like the homeworld of the Empire was originally going to be a gaseous planet, you know, he had that list of things, concepts and names that he just scrambled and reused for everything. And then obviously the floating in the gas clouds came back as Bespin, and those flying native things he kind of kept wanting to work in, the build-ons, etc. And eventually kind of got it in Attack of the Clones, but
Krell sounds like some real estate agent is trying to rebrand Corellia, a neighborhood in Corellia, and let's just call it Krell, and you know, hey, this isn't Corellia, this is Krell.
You guys going to North Krell? What? Yeah, North Corellia. That's what. And that makes me think of Krellman too. Of course, the character from the holiday special.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Interestingly, also on Wikipedia, is the flag of Corellia, which I hadn't really. I feel like we don't often think about flags of Star Wars planets, locations.
Is that seen in The Force Awakens at Maz's castle?
It could be.
That's the only time I ever remember seeing flags, really. Yeah. I guess in
the pod race.
Yeah, pod race.
Yeah, I don't know why there's no citation for the again. As much as I love Wikipedia and I love the detail put into it, I love the people working on it. I really, as somebody who also on the side does a Star Trek show from time to time, I really have grown used to the kind of ease of use of Memory Alpha. No offense, Wikipedia editors, I love you guys, but we still got a lot of work to do. So
Well, while we're slamming Wikipedia,
Sure.
one thing that I also would really like it if they do is could put like a first appearance tab or something to differentiate, because it's, you want to look up, Corellia, and then it's like appearances, and it just lists them all in alphabetical order. Like that's any use to anyone.
It's in I think chronological according to canon.
Is it?
I believe so. Oh no, maybe it is. Yeah, I think it is, because here's Star Wars Trader card game followed by Ultimate Star Wars. There's a lot of.
Huh. There was something else I was looking up, and it seemed like it was just alphabetical.
Maybe that's sources. Sorry, not appearances. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, maybe it is. No. Yeah, I think because it starts out with all the High Republic stuff, so it's in chronological order according to storyline, not according to actual release order. That's how I found
that's
the
what
first
I mean.
appearance.
I want it to be in first appearance in real life, not in Star Wars world.
Yeah, I would like that too, but instead you got to scroll through, and one of them will say first appearance.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I found the novelization.
Right.
Anyway, this is websites.
Who even has them anymore? Why?
Here's another one more thing about Corellia. I liked the list of in the description. Corellia was also inhabited by several alien species, including barbadellins, basilisks, Zerelians, Grindelids, Keldor, Palawix, Rhodian, Solistans, Twi'leks, and Ugor.
Quite a melting pot.
It's also home to several native creatures, including Corellian hounds and fleek eels. Those eels are on fleek.
We will see a Corellian hound soon.
I believe we will.
Yeah.
I believe we will. We will also see fleek eels, but we gotta point them out. But yes, so Corellia, and then the other all caps, we get Lady Proxima, who will have more info on her once Lady Proxima actually appears on a screen. But I did want to point out here that originally, throughout almost all of the production, apparently, Lady Proxima was Mother Proxima. Mother Proxima. And then before...
I
wonder why they changed it to...
Somebody was like, she's not
Catholic
mother,
sounding?
she's a lady. Like, yeah, vice versa.
Do they ever speak that? I know they say, or they just refer to as Proxima. I know it says Lady Proxima in the text, but I feel like they maybe just say Proxima in the...
I think in a little bit when they're taking Han to her, the hired goons, you're like, you're going to see Lady Proxima, but we'll talk about them again too. Yes, the foul Lady Proxima, much like the vile gangster Jabba the Hutt, but I guess they didn't want to say the foul Mother Proxima. That sounds dirty.
Foul. It sounds like they're
foul Mother
censoring
Proxima. Yeah,
foul mother. Sounds like they said something else, but they had to dub in. Something less.
I got one thing to say to you: strike this foul Mother Proxima out.
Do you guys have anything else specific to the minute? I had some other just setting the table kind of, let's turn the clock back to 2018 and see what we were up to back then.
Go for it.
Do it.
It seems like a long time ago.
Long time.
The best-selling movies of 2018. Anyone want to guess? That's right. Avengers Infinity War was the big...
Wow, Infinity War. Not even like, I don't know. It seems like it's hard to tell what...
Black Panther and Infinity War both came out in 2018, and Black Panther was the number one movie.
Still, it seems, I don't know. Yeah. That seems close, but also far.
That to me kind of puts the damper on when people talk about why Solo wasn't as successful, and they say, it only came out 6 months after the last Jedi.
What?
And then here you have Infinity War and the Black Panther both coming out within a calendar year and being in the top 4 movies. Like, it's not about the frequency. If people want the product, they'll keep coming back for it. They're not going to be like, it was 6 months ago. I can't already see another Star Wars.
I've never bought that argument. Yeah.
I think because like even now, like in talking to people, when I'm out in the real world, when I talk to people, and I talk about, Star Wars, I talk about what I do for a living, and I'm like, I do it.
You talk about Star Wars with other people?
I tell them I can't. They're like, hey, Star Wars. I'm like, no, I can't. But like when it comes to like, oh yeah, we're about to start talking about Solo, and you're like, oh yeah, what was that one? Like they don't remember that it existed, or they didn't see it. They were like, oh yeah, I think like it definitely hit a weird glitch. I don't know if it was just, like because they wanted it to come out in, for Memorial Day weekend, or because of, I don't know if it was a marketing thing, there was something happened where like people weren't as...
It didn't connect with audiences.
Well, but like not even like it came out and people didn't want to see it. It's just like something happened where like people weren't aware of it, essentially. People like it came and went under people's radar somehow.
I have a theory about this.
Oh, please tell.
I think that so many people, so many people wrote this movie off by just hearing about it.
Right.
They're like, you can't do Han Solo without Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the hesitance. I had some of that hesitance.
Mm-hmm.
That word came out weird, but you know what I meant to say. And I think so. A lot of people just I know people that were like, no, I'm not going to watch that. And I think that if they could have made this more or less the same movie and made Han Solo not Han Solo, just had it be some new character.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of have a feeling maybe more people would have gone to see it.
I think the weight of being a Han Solo movie was just too...
That's true. Like if you took... I've thought kind of a similar hypothetical that if this wasn't a Star Wars movie, it would probably be more popular. But if it was, a Star Wars movie, but just make it not Han Solo and Chewbacca, and make it change it from a Wookiee to somebody else. Make it two characters we've never heard of.
Yeah.
All right. That's something we can... some other movies that came out, Into the Spider-Verse. Good year for superheroes, of course. Mission Impossible, Fallout. And on the other end of the spectrum, Won't You Be My Neighbor, the heartwarming documentary about Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Movie that made me cry like I've never cried in my life.
It's a tearjerker.
Could not stop crying.
You talking about Mission Impossible?
It was so bad that we're just like... Why? Let's see what else happened in this year. In Thailand, a team of soccer players was rescued after spending 17 days in a cave. Remember when that happened?
Oh yeah. There was all kinds of hubbub about how we were going to send submarines, or
Elon Musk wanted to send in submarines and stuff. Apple became the first company to have over $1 trillion in value. Deep fake entered the dictionary. Or did it? It definitely happened. Double Dare had its second revival. Did you guys watch either of the Double Dare revivals?
I didn't know either one of them happened.
Yeah, I didn't know there were revivals.
There was one apparently in 2000 and then in 2018. Mark Summer was a commentator, a color commentator on the show. They brought him back. So
interesting.
Well, we brought up the couch gag earlier. The Simpsons reached a landmark. They surpassed Gunsmoke as the longest running scripted primetime show in terms of number of episodes. It's very qualified in that thing, but and I guess the opening credit gag had Marge Simpson gunning down Marshal Matt Dillon, the star of Gunsmoke. So
there you go.
Murdered him in cold blood. I have to assume that this record is never going to be broken. No one will ever beat The Simpsons in terms of... television's on its way out anyway, so the idea of...
Right. The idea of a primetime show seems antiquated.
Right. But even a streaming show isn't going to do 35 episodes, 35 seasons worth of shows.
Yeah, and their seasons are so much shorter, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like the Cal Ripken of... Cal Ripken.
Well, I don't know. Once you do, I think what about once we transition to, like the voice font mocap era where we can simulate any... like essentially we could go back and make more episodes of I Love Lucy with the original cast.
Yeah.
Using computers. and then or Gunsmoke. We can go back and make more Gunsmoke to have them take the title back from The Simpsons.
That's the asterisk there. Then that's the steroids entering into baseball right there, pretty much.
Well, I was actually going to say would Family Guy, because Family Guy they had a number of seasons off in between,
right?
But even that, I'll still bet the money that The Simpsons will still continue to hold the record.
Yeah. I think it's a safe bet.
I could see a grudging Gunsmoke fan going to the trouble of setting up a CGI recording studio and doing all that, but I feel like eventually they would just be like, you know what, I can make a lot more money doing hardcore pornography shows than making Gunsmoke reruns that me and 3 of my friends watch. So Disney bought Fox in 2018.
Is that when it went through? There's a whole while where it was like maybe, and it had to get approved and all that. Did it all happen during that year?
I think it all happened during this year, but if any corporate historians want to let me know.
That once again ties in The Simpsons there too.
Yeah.
So I guess there's still a couple of holdouts, right? Disney doesn't own like Sony.
No. Yeah, there's still things in the world that Disney does not own.
I'm trying to think what else they don't own, but in terms of entertainment blocks.
Yeah.
And Carol Spinney retires from Sesame Street. Speaking of a long-running show, that one's that might have a chance of
it's not a primetime show, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Since he was on it from 1969 to 2018. Can you imagine doing anything that long?
It's a long time.
That's
because he was like well into his 80s, I believe.
Oh, when he was still doing he was still
like by the time he retired, and then he ended up passing away like only like a year or two after he retired, I think.
Is that like the same thing happened with Charles Schultz? I think he died within a very short time of Peanuts ending. Is that sort of like the I guess as a consumer of art, that almost seems like the best option. Like they were so connected with their art that as soon as they stopped doing it, they just stopped, existing or whatever. But anyway.
Yeah. It looks like he officially announced his retirement October 17th, 2018, and then passed away December 8th, 2019. So like just about a year.
Wow.
Maybe a little bit more than a year, but
wow. I remember tying this back to Disney now. I was at Disneyland when I found out the news that he had died.
Did they announce it over the thing?
Like, attention, children! Big Bird is dead.
So anything else for minute number 1 of Solo?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
I got nothing specific. Things can wait.
I did look up Ugor. And I recommend that you all look up Ugor because it doesn't. I'm not going to be able to describe it well, but it's a good looking alien.
When you're on Corellia, look up Gorgon for me.
Hey, if you guys go to Corellia, look up Ugor. He's a friend of mine.
And Tony, I want to say congratulations to you because I feel like now that you're the first one, this is now going to be the Tony Thaxton Lounge for this season. Because you are you've done all the seasons and plus several live shows. So. Right, we've done a couple of live shows with you, haven't we?
2.
Oh yeah, 2. Yeah, because I was a guest on one, and then I was the band leader for another.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. No, huge honor.
Congratulations. What are you gonna do with the? What are you gonna do with the? What are you gonna do with the? You got a $50 decorating budget. You can do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
Got a lot of stickers and tapestries and stuff back here.
A lot of leftover stickers.
Yeah, in the closet if you need it.
Yeah, probably mostly a lot of Ugor themed decorations, mostly. But
don't forget Therm Scissor Punch. This is his movie
that's
too.
True.
And we're all big Therm Scissor Punch fans here.
That's like behind the scenes curtain look there. That when I texted Tony about like, oh, so you're gonna we can do week 1 with us, and he's like, yeah. Although later, I am a big Therm Scissor Punch fan, so if not now, then that would be a good scene to have. And I was like, well. We'll see what we can do.
So Therm Scissor Punch was actually he was promoted before the film, right?
Yeah,
he was one of the few aliens that we got to see. Like
now he's General Scissor Punch.
They must have heard about his little maneuver on the Battle of Tanab.
Yeah.
I do feel like it was like one of the first things we got.
Yeah,
was like learning that name And I remember people, a mix of people being excited and people being like, really? Come on. And it ended up being what I figured. It's like, relax. This is going to be like, that's his name, but nobody's going to be like, hey, Therm Scissor Punch.
Yeah, he was like Odie Mandrell. Like we all thought he was going to be this big character because they made an action figure of him, and we're like, you don't barely even see him on the screen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but could not have done better with the name though.
Yeah. Therm Scissor Punch.
Love it.
Well, all right then. I guess that wrapped up minute number 1. We are on the social media. We're on the Twitter at Star Wars Minute, Instagram at The Star Wars Minute. And over on Facebook, we have the Star Wars Minute Listener Society. You can go join that. And
we have a poorly maintained TikTok. That's the Star Wars Minute, I think. We got two or three videos up there at most, perhaps.
And there's a Reddit group, which I am struggling to keep relevant. So if you're on the Reddit, go check that out. And otherwise, check us out tomorrow for minute 2 of Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.